driving up into the mountains towards Aceh, and I have to be honest, I was super excited to finally be able and explore Aceh. It's been on my bucket list for many years, mostly actually because of the stories that I heard about the beautiful beaches, Pulau, and also because I really wanted to find out a bit more about the life in Aceh. Now in Aceh they follow the Sharia law, and I wanted to see how it influences or affects the daily life of the local people there. And yeah, the Sharia law is also one of the reasons why throughout the video you will see me wearing the headscarf or the hijab. Now, just to be clear, it's not really a requirement for tourists to wear it, but for me, I wanted to just be respectful, and it also made me feel more comfortable, especially the closer we were getting to Banda Aceh, so the capital of the province, because that's where they really are the strictest. And I have to say, Aceh has really surprised me. Like, I did not expect it to be as amazing as it was, especially the mountain area. It's just absolutely stunning. I highly recommend anyone to just go there, visit, explore. Just wow. I did not expect it, so I was super surprised, and yeah. So the first part of our trip was actually leading us through the Loise National Park. So we passed by Ketambe, which is one of the entrance gates to the national park. And this area is very famous for trekking and looking for the orangutans. So if that's something you like, this is the place to go. And yeah, the road was pretty cool to drive, very fun, lots of steep turns. So yeah, just a mountain road through the jungle at first, and then later we were driving along a very steep and narrow valley for quite a while. And then the road started to go further and further up through pine forests. So after a while we felt, okay, we need a break, the blackbird needs a break, it's misty, yeah, let's rest. And we found this little cafe at kind of like the top of a hill, so we stopped there for a bit. But when we got there, it was so misty, we couldn't see anything at all.
Alright guys, so now we are stopped at the Gayo Regency in Aceh. It's the highlands area in Aceh. So we stopped to get some tea, and then suddenly it's happened like this. We thought that we will have a nice view here. And then
There is still hope, look.
yeah. We have to wait a bit. Maybe the fog will be leave soon.
Sugar shock.
What are you drinking?
Look at this. We ordered the view and it came.
Looks tasty.
Tatarik. And then luckily after a while it all cleared up, and oh my goodness, it was just amazing. There's such a nice place to hang out for a while and just enjoy the amazing landscape. You get stressed with the driving. Then we actually realized that it's getting a bit late and that we won't be able to make it to Lake Takengon before the dark. So we decided once again to ask Okta for his advice. And yeah, for sure, of course, he knew another campsite for us. So he recommended to us to stop at the rest area, Kulit Jamur. Now, maybe it sounds fancy in English if you don't understand what it means, but kulit jamur actually means like the skin fungus. So we were just hoping that it's some kind of translation error from Google Maps. And yes, do not judge this place by its name because it was amazing. So actually, there were like these two little, very simple warungs just on the side of the road. But then behind the warung, there was this track going over the hills. And on top of one of those hills, you had 360-degree views of the rainforest. You were pretty much in the middle of nowhere. There were no other people around. And we had this place all to ourselves. So yeah, once again, thank you, Okta. We really, really love this place there.
It's crazy. Imagine that something happened with the brake and you are still on the wheel. That's why sometimes in this road better you take a break, like a half an hour or 45 minutes. It's also good for your car.
So, of course, we decided to stay the night. And we were very excited and glad that we found a place to stay. Because really on these kind of mountain roads, through the jungle at nighttime, it's not really advisable. It gets a bit dangerous, especially in case you get stuck somewhere. So yeah, it was good to stop. Then as usual, Dan and we set up camp a little bit, had some tea, enjoyed, and then I started cooking one of my favorite dishes that remind me of my grandma. So in German we call them the Kartoffelpuffer or Rösti. It's like this special fried potato dish. And yeah, I thought in this cold mountain place, it's good to have some hot potatoes, and yeah, they have a very nice taste, and of course, I also have lots of memories connected to this kind of food. So yeah, at night we were just chilling out, enjoying listening to the jungle sounds, looking at the dark because there were literally no lights around. Even the warungs on the other side, they didn't have electricity, and this area, I don't know, maybe there are a few farmers without electricity, but we didn't see any houses and yeah, really nothing all around. So it's a very special place to stay at.
Rosti.
Yeah, the next morning I was super excited to get out of the car because the sunrise was really pretty, but it was freezing cold up on that hill, unfortunately. So we didn't really feel like cooking coffee and breakfast, and instead we just decided to pack up our things after a while and drive further down the hill again in hope for some warmer temperatures.
What a beautiful morning, guys. When you wake up in the morning and then this landscape, this view is next to you. I'm so happy that we can found this place. It's very recommended for you.
From there on, like you have to walk there.
How are you feeling?
warm. It's so hot. I want to rip off my clothes.
How's the landscape?
Amazing. A good place to wake up at. Who's stronger, Black Bull or the buffalo? Yeah, continuing on that road, to be honest, we were super glad that we decided last night to stay. The road was extremely steep, like for very long stretches. So we were pretty much like constantly on the brakes. And also, of course, the views were amazing, so we wouldn't have wanted to miss them. So it was a really good choice to stay there. On the way to Danau Takengon, we found this little restaurant and had some breakfast there. So we had some of the traditional miso, which is kind of like a noodle soup, an Indonesian noodle soup, and of course some coffee. And that place really reminded me of like the typical mountain huts in northern Italy. I got almost like a kind of like a flashback feeling in there. Only if you looked around. Of course, they had the typical sambal and ketchup manis bottles on the table. So yeah, that gave it away that we are not in Italy. But it was my first time seeing actually a kind of like a wooden structure like this, like that one here in Indonesia. Research Julia.
My navigator.
Navigator. Not playing on social media. Navigation. When we arrived at Lake Takengon, we first drove down along the lakeside for a while, and then we decided to stop at one of the many campsites there to just chill out for a while. So we found this campsite which was called Campsite Gayo, and Gayo is actually the coffee which this area of Aceh is very famous for. And in this campground, they even had their own little coffee plantation. So of course, we were like setting up our chairs, tried out their delicious coffee, and just relaxed for a while. And we're trying to heat up again after freezing on the hill earlier in the morning. And of course, we also had to take a dip in the lake. So this lake, it's a typical mountain lake. It's quite refreshing, but the water was super clear and just beautiful, a beautiful setting there. So yeah, it's a very chill place to spend some time.
How is it?
But yeah, then later in the afternoon, we decided that it's time for us to keep on driving a bit further. And this part of the trip, we don't really have a lot of footage because it was just insane. So I think Danu and I, we were both a bit too stressed to film much, but let me tell you about it a little bit. So we were heading from Takengon to Melabu, which is like on the other side of, so pretty much from the middle of Sumatra. We were crossing over until to the ocean again, to the other Lintas. So before we were on the Lintas Timor, this time we wanted to go to the Lintas Barat, so the west side pretty much of Sumatra. And yeah, it's like pretty much jungle that we had to that we had to cross, but there are roads. So the roads were actually considered for where we are and how remote this area was. They were in very, very good condition. Like I cannot say anything about it. And also there was a lot of road work going on, so obviously they're really keeping up. But the road workers, they do have a lot on their hand. Since of course it's raining a lot in these areas, there are like landslides, parts breaking down, broken bridges, and yeah. So the first part of the road was in very bad condition, like it was hardly even a road there. But then according to my Google Maps, we had to cover this part to get to the second road, which continued, right? So Danu already kept on telling me, for sure this is wrong, for sure this is wrong. So we stopped some of the locals there, we asked them, and they were just very chilled on the motorbikes, like this is a very normal normal road, but we were like really struggling through the holes. And he promised us that it would get better soon. So yeah, thankfully it did get better soon. And yeah, it's a stunning place. We were like driving over the hills, literally over the hills. It seems like they just built a road wherever they wanted. So it was like crossing the hills up and down, like for a long time, just like along the mountain range, I guess is how you call it. And then we had to obviously cross some mountains. And what they did is they just built a road straight down into the valley and then up again on the other side. And like, but it's not just like 2 minutes down, it was like 10, 15 minutes just almost like straight down with a few turns, but super, super steep. And I'm from the mountains, like I'm used to mountain roads, and normally I don't really get scared easily by those kind of roads. But my goodness, I was so scared that like the brakes would burn through, because it just didn't stop. Like going up was okay. You just had to make sure that you don't really hit any of the oncoming traffic. But there wasn't really a lot of traffic, thankfully. But going down was really super scary. And being like in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of the jungle, we didn't have... We also lost our phone connection, and I forgot to download the map first. So we didn't really know how much further it was, and yeah, we were getting a little bit nervous because it just kept on going and going and going. So yeah, thankfully Black Pearl, she managed. The brakes were holding. And then yeah, towards the end, the worst part was that it started pouring down, and it was like super misty once again, and we didn't know how much longer we have to go on this road. So it felt like we were in this very surreal kind of like place, without time, without like knowing where we're going. So yeah. But in the end, I really have to say, for me, this was a super cool road. Like thinking back, it was stunning. But make sure you have very good brakes, and I do not suggest going on a road like this with an automatic scooter. Like you would have to stop every 5 minutes to just let your brakes cool down. Otherwise, they might just burn through. It was very steep, like crazy steep. So for me, I still see this in a very positive light. But Danu was very happy when we were finally back down on the flatlands, going back onto the Lintas. He did not agree with me that this was a good road, but he will tell you himself.
Pak Danu, kenapa capek sekali?
I'm so tired with the mountain road. It's like a cornering, braking, cornering, braking, cornering, and braking. I need a fast. I wanna go speed. I wanna go fast.
So from now on, where are we gonna go?
We are going to Malabo.
What kind of road?
I wanna go to Lintas. I wanna go fast. I'm tired of mountain road.
So we spent the night in Malabo, which is like this coastal town, and we had two very cool highlights there. For me, there were highlights. And the first one was that in our little guest house, they finally asked me for my buku nikah. So buku nikah is like this document. It kind of looks like a passport, which you get when you get married. And since we were already in Aceh, and in Aceh they have the Sharia, meaning that women and men are not really allowed to stay in the same room together, except of course if they are married, which means that in every hotel that you want to check in, they will ask you for this buku nikah. And now Dan and I finally have one, so I was super proud to show it to the guy. And the other thing, oh my goodness, this might sound super silly to all of you guys, but I think most long-term travelers, they will understand. I found a laundry, finally. We've been looking for laundry, express laundry, for the longest time. I don't want to give you details about the smells in our cars sometimes, driving with the dirty laundry. But yeah, I found a spot. Danu did not believe me that they would be able to do it until the next morning, but I convinced the guy. I told him, please just wash it and dry it. No need to iron, nothing. Just give me the bag like this, as long as it's not smelly anymore. And yes, the guy there at the laundry, he helped me. And I even had a bet with Danu and one free seafood dinner. So it's double good. Yeah, that's it.
Looks so happy.
So happy! Finally! Fresh clothes again. Oh, later we must fold it. It's still warm.
Okay.
I'm just looking for my Muslim clothes.
So the next morning, as always, we were trying to find a little coffee shop, and we saw this busy place with like lots of old men hanging out outside. So we thought, okay, this looks like they have some good coffee there. We stopped by, and yeah, they really still use the old traditional method of brewing the coffee. Super interesting. And I always like to visit those kind of places, those old coffee shops where you can still see like the locals in the morning, either the ones like just getting the takeaway coffee in little bags, not in cups, the traditional ways, in little plastic bags, or the older guys just hanging out and chit-chatting. So it's like kind of like this village feeling. So we were sitting there for a while and just observing the coffee making process, and of course also the other locals.
How is it?
Sweet.
We are now at the coffee shop in Malabo, Aceh. This is one of the best coffee shop in here. So we have a coffee, and then one of the famous thing about the coffee shop in Sumatra in Indonesia, they have the hard-boiled egg. And then this is really common and it's really famous in every coffee shop in Indonesia. So if you go to Indonesia, don't forget to order this. And the local people here believe that it's good for your stamina. It's good for your health. Especially for men. It's good for your endurance. Let's try it. Test it.
So from Malabo, we were heading towards Banda Aceh, and the lintas between those two cities is just amazing. That was like one of my favorite parts of the lintas actually. It's in very good condition. It runs just along the coast for long stretches of time. And once in a while it also climbs up to the hills, which gives you this amazing views over crystal clear bays of Banda Aceh. So just fantastic. And the best part, there are almost no tracks. So driving on these lintas actually almost felt like being on a toll road. Amazing. We were glad that we chose to go in on that direction rather than on the east coast.
We are going to Banda Aceh now. It's like the 230 or 40 kilometer from Malabo to Banda Aceh. We will try to get there as fast as we can, because the last boat, the last ferry to Sabang Island is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So let's hope the road is good and the traffic will be fine.
After a while, we stopped at our first beach. It was Pantai Kuala Merisi. Dan was super excited that he finally was on a beach again. I know it's hard to believe that we haven't been on a beach in the last 2 weeks being on Sumatra, but yeah, we were really mostly more on the inside of the island. So yeah, that's it.
How's it feel?
Very nice. Always happy to be on the beach. But not like home, not like you. Like holiday.
Finally, we are on the beach. Oh my God, I miss that. Smells like home. Our first beach during this trip.
Well, now, yeah.
Thank you, Aceh. Finally, I can smell home.
This is the only one who wants to go traveling and be home at the same time.
No, I missed that. Finally, see, I got sun, I got beach, I can listen to the waves. Perfect. I am a mountain. So big.
Dan is getting high again. After the trauma in the mountains yesterday.
A bit further up, the road climbed up into the mountains, and the locals had built some warungs just right on the edge pretty much of the cliff. And it's a great spot to stop for a while, relax, enjoy the views, and have a fresh coconut to also support the local sellers. And then once we got closer to Banda Aceh, we realized we still had some time left before the next ferry would leave. So we found this long stretch of beach full of seafood restaurants. We decided to stop there for a while, had some delicious ikan bakar. So Dan and I always go for ikan bakar. It's one of our favorite dishes.
Looks delicious. That's it.
And this is what Julie eats.
Hey, you.
So always like that.
You cheating. You say like that.
See?
Nobody
She
believes
ate
you.
all of them.
Look at your belly. Nobody believes you.
No left for husband.
Yeah, poor boy. That's why the six-pack is so hidden, because he doesn't get any food.
We trying to go to a seaport, the ferries, to get the ferry. This on schedule is like a 4 in the afternoon, but we have to be there at 3, and now it's around 2, I guess. Yeah,
I guess.
hope in half an hour we can go there in a half an hour. So let's see.
Do you have any idea where you want to stay there on the island?
No.
You don't know anything? Zero?
Yeah. Maybe.
So
we
nanti we
some
must do a little research. Yeah?
We just go there and do some looking around, I guess.
Because it's quite big, like maybe we can sleep in 2 nights, 2 different places, 2 areas.
Or we just go camping if possible. I don't know if they allow us or not.
To go camping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other camping spot also, I saw it before.
Yeah, and once we were done, we were heading towards the harbor. And we almost couldn't believe our luck when we arrived there. They sent us right through onto the ferry. So after what happened to us in Pulau a while back, when we were really like the first car that got stopped and we were not left onto the ferry anymore, this was maybe karma's way to give us a good payback. The ferry ride to Pulau or to Sabang, as the locals tend to call it, was very smooth. There were quite a lot of other people on the boat because it was going towards the Christmas holidays. So of course, lots of people were trying to get away from the city. And yeah, we were just feeling super excited, super ecstatic that we were on our final stretch to finally reach our dream to get to Kilometer Nol.
Pulau, we made it to the other side of Indonesia.
Finally.
But love, I have a new challenge.
What?
I just read there is the same place in Papua, Kilometer Nol.
Really?
Next time we go the other way. We go to the east.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's make this one first. And then
I want to challenge you officially.
When we reached the island, it was already late afternoon, so we decided to go and look for a campsite for the night. And we expected it to be quite easy, given that we were on an island. However, I was very wrong. And yeah, when we decided to drive towards the west of the island, as we figured the further away from the tourist areas we are, the easier it might be to find like a little beach where we could just stay. However, there was really nowhere with access to the beach. So either the beaches were like covered by hotels or covered by warungs, or the land had already been sold and they blocked the access.
it's really hard to find a place for camping. We just driving around the island. We saw like some places really nice with the beach, but full of a cafe and then abandoned resort. So maybe that is not a good idea to go camping there because too many people there. And then now we're trying a bit north in the islands. Hope we can find a good place for camping.
So yeah, the only option for us would have been to spend the night on a parking lot next to Warung, but I really didn't feel like doing that. We were on this beautiful island. I wanted to have a nice spot, right? So that we could actually enjoy it. So we ended up renting a little bungalow just built on a hillside overlooking the bay. It's a beautiful spot, and yeah, I recommend for you guys to stay there if you are like us and can't find a place to camp at. It's called BCB Bungalows, and its owners are also really into touring, and they also have their own van. So they told us about their plan to turn their land into a campsite. So maybe one day there might be a spot for people like us to put their cars at. Yeah. And when we arrived, there was this amazing sunset just stunning. I was just in awe, sitting on the deck and just watching it for a while. Next morning was finally the big day where we would reach Kilometer Nol, and only a few more kilometers were between us, so we rode over there. Danu was super excited. I also got a bit infected by his excitement. And yeah, we did it! Unbelievable. We made it all the way from Belitung in just like around 2 weeks, actually, to the most western part of Indonesia. So congratulations, Danu.
Where are we going, Nano?
We are going to 0 kilometer of Indonesia in Way Islands. So exciting.
I have to be honest, yeah, for me, I have to say this spot is a bit overrated. It's full of tourists, it's full of souvenir stands, and there's this statue with the writing like Kilometer Nol, where everyone wants to take a picture at. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But then when I thought about it a bit more, I guess it's not really about what the place looks like. It's more all about the meaning behind it, what it means to the people that managed to reach that place. Like if you sit there for a while, you can see lots of people passing by on their like old Vespas maybe, or people like us with their vans who are just super excited that they made it all this way. So that's more, that's what it's all about, right? And just a few tips. They might ask you to park the car before you reach the statue, but of course everyone wants to go to the statue with their car or with their motorbike to take a picture. Just ask the parking guy if there's any way that he could let you through, and most likely they will. So we were also able to drive there. And number 2, you were able to get a certificate. I know it sounds silly, but we were quite excited with our certificate, so it's proving our achievement.
Finally, we made it. We are in the 0 kilometer of Indonesia now. This is it. We made it. From Belitung to 0 kilometer of Indonesia.
So after our little celebration at Kilometer Nol, we decided to explore the rest of Pulau a bit more, of course. Our first stop was Pantai Iboy. It's this very beautiful little beach. The water is super clear, but yeah, it was quite busy there, like actually super busy. It was just the beginning of the Christmas holidays. Lots of people were there, so it wasn't really the right spot to just hang out for a while. But yeah. But Danu was excited because that's where he met lots of people from the campervan community of Indonesia. So, and more about that again later, because we met up with them again a bit later. We continued driving around the island. We visited Sabang because yeah, we also wanted to see that since it's the capital city. However, it's just like any regular town, at least that's what it seemed like to me. And once again, we were quite surprised how difficult it was to find a nice beach to chill at and also to get some good seafood. After asking at a few places, like along the beach, asking some locals, they sent us to a resort. So they told us if you want seafood, you need to go to that resort. So we went there. It's a nice resort, but yeah, it was again quite crowded. And unfortunately, I have to be honest, and yeah, the food was quite disappointing and also very overpriced. So yeah, as usual, it's much better to just eat in one of the local places than at the resorts. And I know that, and I should have known better, but yeah, that's what happened. So after a while, we gave up looking for a new camping spot, and we decided to treat ourselves a bit and rent a bungalow for another night. We ended up at the Pulau Paradise, which is built right on the beach, and they have these very large bungalows with huge window fronts just overlooking the ocean. It's a very beautiful place with a hammock outside, very relaxed surroundings. So perfect place if you feel fancy for a night. yeah, we were super lucky. We had another amazing sunset. I know I keep on repeating myself, but yes, they really are stunning on Pulau. And then at night time, we enjoyed some Christmas dinner together, and we had this very funny waiter, or actually I think he was the manager, who kept on singing songs for us and calling himself, "I'm a crazy boy." So yeah, we were entertained for the night.
In a couple days, I didn't really take a footage and take a video because we trying to enjoying our honeymoon trip. So not exactly about the trip and then camping and then the road trip, but we also realized that we have to enjoy it. Anyway, it's also our honeymoon trip, so you really have to find the balance of that. Sometimes that's when you only focus to take a video, you only focus that to get some photo or a good footage. Sometimes it's make you don't really enjoy it. The view, don't really enjoy the place, even it's so beautiful sometimes. So sometimes we forgot that we only thinking about how to get the footage, how to get the photo, but I realized that I have to find the balance of that. What are you doing, love?
Checking the oil.
Is it good?
You didn't teach me how to do it, Dano. You just said check the oil.
Is it full from the top to the beginning?
Yeah, almost.
Okay, good.
Until here. It's good.
The next morning, Dano decided to teach me some car skills. So I was checking the oil. Thankfully, I still remembered for a while back. But yeah, it's time to refresh. When you drive a car, you need to know how to fix it at least a little bit, at least the basics.
All good?
All good. Ready to go. Approved by mechanic Julie. Your friend's calling you again.
Who's friend?
Your friends.
Who is my friend?
All the animal kingdom. Because you make all the sounds and have all the smells.
Mom, this is what talk about your son. Now I have a proof here.
But I love animals, so it's okay.
Now you said you are.
Before heading back to Banda Aceh, of course we still had to go snorkeling. This is the paradise for snorkelers, for divers. I heard so many wonderful things about its underwater world. So we went over to Pantai Iboy, and we decided to rent a boat for a 3-hour snorkeling trip. They're super organized over there. They already have the price lists ready, so you don't need to shop around, you don't need to bargain. Of course, they also have the snorkeling gear for rent, so it's all easy. We went to three different spots because we skipped the fourth one as it was super crowded with lots of the other holiday makers. And yeah, what can I say? I like to be honest, so honestly, I was a bit disappointed by the snorkeling that we saw there. I don't know if we didn't see the best spots, if the boatman maybe wasn't sure what to bring us to. Yes, there were some schools of fish, there were some starfish, but most areas had broken corals. Of course, it's nobody's fault. They still haven't recovered due to the devastating tsunami which hit like around 20 years ago. One other area had nice corals. I even saw a very cool spiky starfish. But overall, I have to say that some of the other places I've been to around Indonesia, they were a lot more amazing. So yeah. But once again, I can't say anything about the diving. Maybe we were in the wrong positions, who knows. Give it a try for yourself and let us know if you disagree with us or if you have a different experience there. Yeah, and then it was time to say goodbye to the island. We were heading back to the harbor and taking the ferry back to the mainland. And more about our future adventures there, of course, in the upcoming vlogs. See you there.
So we are on the way to Bukit Tinggi and we are having a problem with the car. Couple days we really need a shower. That's the reality of the camper vans.
Selamat tahun baru.
Happy New Year's!